It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege and honor to interview the Virginia State head women's lacrosse coach, Coach Ashley Lawerence. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to become a college lacrosse coach?
I want to say that probably towards my senior year in college, it was one of those things that I wanted to coach, and just being a college player and, going through the realms of, creating my own teams high school wise, that just added to wanting to be a college coach. And I more specifically wanted to be a college coach at an HBCU. So
Of course, what was it like going to Howard University?
it was a life-changing experience. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about my culture and my background being at Howard. I met so many different great people, so many different great backgrounds. I learned things that I don't think I would have learned anyplace else. That experience is definitely I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Of course, what was it like getting to play for Howard and putting on that blue jersey?
You're playing with part of your history. Howard women's program was the first NCAA women's lacrosse program for HBCUs, and it's a D1. So it was one of those things where I know I was putting on a uniform and I was playing for something. I was playing for what it meant to play at Howard University.
How is it like obviously getting to make history, as you said, being the first Division I HBC?
It was life changing, and it just added to playing for something. Throughout my career of playing lacrosse, I always made sure that I was playing for a reason. I was playing for something, and being at Howard just it meant that I was part of paving a pathway for other players that look like me.
Of course, during your 4 years, what were some of your biggest accomplishments?
Um, I would say just the changing in my position. I was recruited heavily as a low defender. When I got to Howard, I was thrown into the midfield. So changing that position, having to structure my brain differently than what it was, and being able to actually pretty good at it. I surprised myself. So I would say just that accomplishment on being able to do that and do it to the best of my ability, and being pretty good at it. So it was definitely a huge accomplishment.
As a collegiate college player, what was that like getting to change positions from obviously playing in high school one position and going into college playing a different position?
It was tough, but it wasn't impossible. So being a low defender, it allowed me to understand what I needed to do on the defensive end. So becoming an offensive player I just had to trigger my mind an opposite way. And of course, with midfield, you're playing both sides of the ball. So I'm playing offense and I'm playing defense. So it just helped mend all of that together and made it a little bit easier. But yeah, it was a struggle a little bit at first being in practice. And it was like, okay, I forget, like I'm on this side of the ball now. But I figured it out.
Of course, coming out of college, what was it like getting your coaching start in high school?
It was actually a pretty smooth transition. I think just being a college player, it gave me a lot behind me that it basically told everybody that I kind of knew what I was talking about and I knew what I was doing. And it helped with the girls. It allowed them to buy into what I was saying, and it benefited them tremendously.
Of course, what was it like starting up the High Point High School lacrosse program?
Very interesting. So High Point is a very, very high percentage of your Hispanic population. So you have kids from El Salvador, Ecuador, Puerto Rico, and it's just a mesh of everybody. So when I started the program at High Point, I had 29 players, 27 of them were Hispanic. And I only had one African American player on the team. A lot of the girls played soccer. They didn't know what lacrosse was. They didn't know what a lacrosse stick was. I put it in their hand and they're like, okay, what do I do with this now, coach? And that first season was just amazing. We ended up going to the second round of playoffs as a first year team, as a brand new, fresh first year team. And the girls did amazing. It actually made me really, really proud as a coach. And I know that it made them proud as players. And it made me proud of them because they really busted their butt and they learned it and they did good at it. So it was great. It was a wonderful experience.
Of course, what was that like getting to take the women's soccer players and turning them into also lacrosse players?
It wasn't too bad of a transition because a lot of women's lacrosse is your combination of your basketball, combination of your soccer, and you can throw a couple other sports in there. But soccer is really like soccer and basketball are the main sports that you can coordinate with women's lacrosse. So the fact that they understood how to move the field, how to transition the field, how to look on the field, what the main concept was, it made things so much easier to have to explain it. So once they understood what that connection was, we just got it going and it worked.
Of course, as a high school coach, what was that like getting to start up your own program on the high school level?
It was actually a great experience. I learned a lot about the higher level of things in regards to the background of it. I played lacrosse in high school, but I played as a player. I showed up, I did what I needed to do at practice, I busted out in games, and that was it. But being on the other end of stuff, there's so much more that goes into it. Uniforms, making sure games are straight, making sure buses are good, making sure the girls are eating like they're supposed to. So it's like, granted, I was their coach, but in a sense, I was their mom too. So it was a good experience. I definitely learned a lot about myself as a person and as a coach. And it helped.
What were some of your biggest accomplishments as a high school coach?
I would say making it to that second round of playoffs and just being able to get a group of 29 girls that stayed with me the entire season, no matter what chaos I might have thrown at them, no matter what they felt, everybody came back every single day and they gave 100%. I think just being able to get a set of girls that didn't know anything about lacrosse to love it is a huge accomplishment.
What was that transition like from going from high school coach to becoming a college coach at a Division I program?
So it hasn't really hit me yet because we just started, but I think just being able to grab the players that I need that fit my vision and fit what it is that I feel like is needed for a D2 program. It gives me a lot more freedom, which in a sense, it's like, okay, I'm willing to take the freedom, but then I kind of step back and it's like, okay, what can I do? What can I do type of thing. So it's more just kind of figuring it out along the way. It actually is extremely exciting to be able to call girls and say, hey, this is Coach Lawerence from Virginia State University. And it's just, as much as it feels good for them to hear it, it feels great to have it roll off my tongue.
Of course, what was that feeling like when you got finally announced to become the Virginia State new head women's lacrosse coach?
It still hasn't hit me yet. I think just going through the steps of things, my family is extremely excited. I have a very, very tight-knit, very supportive family. My dad is my best friend. My other half is extremely supportive in everything that I've done. And I think just having them behind me, it just makes the experience and just the overwhelming of different emotions and different excitement and different people, it evens it out for me. So, my babies, I have two little ones. My babies are just over the moon, like, mommy's on the internet. And it's just like, just to see them be excited about it, it makes me excited. But it's also a very humbling experience too, because you do so much and you basically bust your butt to get to a certain place to be on someone's table, and to be able to be on Virginia State's table and for them to give me the opportunity to show what I have it's just so welcoming and it's heartfelt.
Of course, during the process, what was it like going through the tour and obviously getting to see the facility for the first time?
It was interesting. It was exciting. It was good to see the different things they had going on, the newer buildings. We just got a new field. It's so pretty. Just to meet the different people. The athletics department is, one giant unit, one giant family. So, and you can tell how tight-knit everybody is, which helps because just as much support as one sport gets, the other sport gets. And that's just how you build a family. And that's one thing that got me to really say, okay, like I'm ready to go, to be able to see that.
How has it helped with obviously building on the high school level a new program and also coming to college and building a new program in college?
It's really the same thought process. So building a program in high school, you're starting from the bottom. I've had girls that didn't know how to play, didn't know how to hold a stick, didn't know what a ground ball was, didn't know how to pass and catch, didn't know the rules. And you're going from having to teach them and teach them along the way, where in college, you don't have to teach the girls how to play lacrosse, but you have to teach them on more of a strategical level of things, and, kind of putting people in places that, would benefit the team more and things like that. So starting a new program, I mean, we're starting from scratch, from getting everything we need and grabbing all the girls that we need. So it's kind of the same thought process, but now instead of having to teach them, um, it's just getting all the other details together, really.
Of course, how has it been like obviously building this new team and building the coaching staff around you?
It has been, I want to say since I started, it's been kind of an up and down. With us starting a new team, we're grabbing a lot of seniors that haven't committed anywhere. So we have a lot of girls that are on the fence about life, really. So, but it's good to see the tremendous amount of girls that are reaching out and a tremendous amount of staff that are like, hey, look, I saw these lacrosse players, this and that. And a lot of the staff here doesn't know much about lacrosse, but now that we have a program and they have their eyes a little bit on girls, it's like, they're kind of shooting us, players on the boys and the girls side of stuff. So it's just, I don't know. It's just great. Like right now, I'm just kind of in la la land with things, with just experience and being able to be the first coach of a brand new program at an HBCU. So,
Of course, what has the recruitment process been like for you as the new head coach?
um, as of right now, it's been a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls. Tournaments aren't really happening until like that October, November time. So once those tournaments come up, that'll be a different experience in itself, being able to show up and being able to essentially handpick what I need. That'll be a lot different. So I'm looking forward to getting out the office a little bit.
Of course, what are some of the things that you look at in these prospective student athletes that you plan to bring to Virginia State?
Well, the two top things is their grades and their lacrosse IQ. One thing that I've learned and I stand strong on is being able to understand the game. You need to understand the game at any level. You need to understand exactly what it is that you need to bring to the table in order to compete at a college level. But your grades too. A lot of times, a lot of girls that are, or just athletes, a lot of athletes are good in their sport, but they're not great in the classroom. And that's one major thing I look at. I want to be a first-year coach with a first-year team with a very high GPA and a very high skill set. So that's definitely those major things that I'm looking for.
Of course, as you start this journey, what are some of the things that you plan to do in your first few years?
Well, of course, first season, I would love to have a winning season, of course. But I want my girls to be well fluent. I want to do some community service. I want to do some camps and clinics with the youth that are in the area, some elementary schools, high schools, just kind of putting us out there as much as possible and making sure the girls have a hand in it. One thing I do believe is creating a team is creating a family. So the more that we do together, the more connected we will be. And at the end of the day, yes, I am their coach, but they're their own unit. So they have to be able to flow and function and love each other without me being the one initiating it.
Of course, as you bring in these prospective student athletes, lacrosse players, what are some of the things that you want to do on the official visit?
I definitely want them to see the campus. I want them to be able to kind of get a feel of what they will be experiencing, when they do come. I want them to be able to mingle with the other athletes that are here. Like I said, the athletics program is pretty tight knit, so a lot of the athletes know each other. And I want to make sure that the lacrosse team is a part of that that process and that history that's already here, that's already been established. So just to get the recruits to kind of see how that functions. I'm a very transparent person. So I want to make sure that not only am I explaining things to them, but I want them to be able to see it as well. And just kind of, see it from their own lens and not anyone else's lens. So.
Of course, what are some of the things that will happen during game day in the future, and who are some of the teams that you'll be facing in that future?
So teams, we haven't really gotten that together. I've been looking at a couple of D2s that are in the area, but I haven't really sat down and put my mind to it in the midst of recruiting. But game day, for me, it's gotta be smooth, calm, and collected. So no chaos. The morning time, making sure the girls eat, making sure everybody's good to go on the strength and conditioning part, which is done throughout the season. Game day is really just kind of like, we're here. So let's get down to business. Let's get some stuff done. So every player has their own process. Every player has to get their mind ready in the way that they need to get it ready. But one thing I want to make sure that the girls do is, that morning of, everybody comes together. Everybody has breakfast together. Everybody has that, that talk about, the game, or maybe just kind of getting their nerves and stuff out. And then after that, it's game time.
Of course, as a new coach, what is it like building that schedule?
It's gonna be a lot easier once the girls get here and we can get their majors and stuff situated. I have an idea of what I would like everybody's schedule to look like, but in reality, that might not happen. But I can say that I'm definitely great on being flexible. I'm great with changes happening. So as long as I can have that situated for them, so that way when they come on campus to start their first year come August of 2023, then we are good to go.
Of course, as a coach, what is it going to feel like to start the game day schedule?
It's going to be interesting. I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit easier than what I think it will be. There are a lot of D2s in the area, so we may have to travel far. But I do want the girls to be able to experience more than just Virginia. I want them to be able to play New York teams and maybe go down to Texas and maybe play Georgia, just kind of get their feet wet in everything. With us starting, we are independent, so we kind of have a little bit more flexibility on what teams we can grab to play. So that'll be a good experience getting that together.
Of course, as the coach, what will it feel like, obviously, when you have those seniors and after their senior year go on to play professionally, whether it's Athletes Unlimited or even the U.S. Lacrosse?
I think my first set of seniors that I'm going to have, it's definitely going to be extremely emotional. When you bring girls onto a team, it's, and you see them grow, they're like your little babies. So even though these are adults that are coming here, at the end of the day, they would be my first set of graduating class of lacrosse players. So it'd definitely be emotional. It'd definitely be heartfelt. And I mean, like I said, as a coach, you are a coach. There are lines that are drawn, but as a female coach, you kind of become their mom and their mentor in a sense. So it's like, seeing that happen, it's like, oh, well, my baby's leaving. So it'll be good. It'll be really exciting. To get them to play US Lacrosse and Athletes Unlimited, that would be a tremendous thing for them. I mean, as much as it'd be exciting for me, it's more exciting for them. At the end of the day, they are the ones in a uniform. They are the ones busting their butt. They're the ones in the weight room. They're the ones on the field. They're the ones running. So all the effort and work that they put in to get to that point, it's going to be tremendous for them. And I'm just here to push them along, to make them see that, they can be that player and they can be great at what they do.
What are some of your future plans as you start this journey in starting up the program?
Future plans, I mean, essentially, I would love to be here for as long as possible. I know it's kind of weird to hear that from a first year coach, but I really want to be here to grow the sport, not only here, but grow it in the area and, be a part of that crazy good history of being an HBCU coach. So, I mean, future plans is really just to kind of get everything to where it needs to be, like whatever level that comes, whatever skill set that comes in that becomes just mind-blowing and lights out, like I'm for it. I'm ready for everything.
What advice would you give those high school athletes that are looking to become college lacrosse players?
To always have a stick in your hand, always be a part of something or do something that's going to increase your skill set. Every athlete is different. So when I was in high school, I eat, slept, breathe, thought about lacrosse. That was my sport. There are a good amount of 2 and 3 sport athletes, which help tremendously. But I mean, essentially just practicing your craft and staying on top of it and never letting anybody tell you you can't do something. And the moment that they do, prove them wrong. So that's my big thing. And with being an HBCU and really essentially recruiting a lot of players that look like me, that's one of the things that they're going to run into. They're going to run into people telling them that they can't do something or they're not good at it. And you got to prove everybody wrong.
What advice would you give those high school athletes making the jump to the college level?
To be ready for anything. Be ready for anything and everything, whatever is thrown at you, take it and do something with it. Just be on top of your game, whether that's in the classroom, whether it's on the field, whatever it is that you're doing. Just don't let anybody change your mindset, but make sure your mindset is getting stuff done.
What advice would you give those high school coaches like yourself that made that jump to the college level?
Don't be scared. Don't be scared of anything. Whatever mistakes you might make, whatever comes along with that process, take all of it. Take it all in and learn from it. Learn from the things that people teach you. Learn from the things that your players teach you. Take every experience as a personal experience. I learned so much about myself being a high school coach, and I think that is going to add tremendously to what I can bring to the table here.
What advice would you give those college coaches that are looking to start in college and coach on the head coach level?
Everything's a process. It might seem slow at first, but once that slow process is done, everything's going to move fairly quickly. So to just be organized and just make sure whatever your organization looks like, to just stick to it. Everybody's going to throw opinions at you. Everybody's going to throw players at you. Everybody's going to do a ton of different things, and you have to stand your ground on what it is that you want and how you want to go about things.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Virginia State lacrosse program?
So Virginia State does have an Instagram and a Facebook page. I believe it's just Virginia State Athletics. I personally do not have social media. I'm working on it. But a lot of what we do lacrosse wise, our sports media team is wonderful and they are on top of everything. So anything that I would put up on my social media, they probably already have it up on theirs before I can even think about putting it on mine. So Virginia State Athletics, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook is a good go-to.
That's great advice. Thank you again, Coach Ashley Lawerence, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as you start this journey as a new Virginia State head women's lacrosse coach.
All right. Thank you, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Ashley Lawerence, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.